I just now pressed the recording button, so I'm going to pause and check the chat box every so often because, as I said, a lot of you are going to have to communicate through the chat box. Again, I cannot make you the presenter. I'm the presenter. So I think these 4 bullets are really important for all of us because when you're in the midst of change, you're going to have to learn something new. And you're going to have to do something that's outside of an area that you're probably already very good with. I can remember this when we changed up the Monday morning report. We used to do a Monday morning report every Monday, and it had to come in by 10 o'clock and it had to be accurate. And I was kind of the gatherer of all the information from all the different regions. And so I took a great deal of pride in getting that report out correctly and on time. And then guess what happened? They changed it to an automated reporting system, which of course made much more sense, right? Automate that sucker. Don't do it manually. But I lost a responsibility that I was good at and took a lot of pride in. So I had to find something else that lit me up. So yeah, the company's not responsible for what they're doing. They are trying to survive, if not exceed, in the property management business. And between technology and people and financial challenges, if your company, if our company, Alpha Barnes, isn't changing, we're gonna get completely overrun by others around us. And frankly, the speed of change is not going to slow down. So those of you that have been in the business for a while, do you remember these? Pegboards and ledger cards. Remember pagers and life before significant email where you basically couldn't do anything now without email. Yeah. So those are things that aren't going to happen again. They will not come back. And some of that is a good thing, right? So I think when it comes to change, I love this little expression down here at the bottom. Many of you work for companies, and Alpha Barnes itself in the past has done this before, where we say we're going to change something. We get all ready to change something. You get kind of freaked out and it's a challenge and I'm not really sure what I should be doing. And then we either lose interest in it or it doesn't go the way we want it to go. And so we drop it. I know I've worked for companies that have done that in the past. Right now some of you are dealing with the conversion to rent payment. Ultimately, all of our properties will be on some kind of a automated system so that money orders are no longer accepted anywhere. Money orders represent a risk to the organization. But this is something new, and there's a new protocol and a new process. And for some of us, it's difficult to get through that. So we kind of when we hear about the next new thing that Alpha Barnes is going to do, we tend to kind of shrug our shoulders and say, well, just hang in, they'll lose interest. It's the program of the day, program du jour, like soup of the day. And, tomorrow they'll change it and do something else. That was also the case when I worked at Pinnacle. Large company, needed to keep up to date, big footprint. And that's exactly what happened is we pushed out a lot of change that we could not manage. And I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that Alpha Barnes hasn't done that in the past and may do that in the future. So, we've all been on this webinar now, so I'm going to look to the rest of you to kind of keep us all realistic in terms of what we can and what we can't do. So yeah, I love this graphic because a lot of us, and I think I'm guilty of this too. On the right-hand side, I counted on the fact that I've been with the company for a long time. Or I counted on the fact that I was in a corporate position. I counted on the fact that what I've done in the past really identified me as a leader. Most of us haven't counted on affirmative action. Affirmative action is a governmental requirement to be on the team because of a protected class. I don't think we have any of that here. Title, my title, who you are, who you know. Those are things that, unfortunately, many of us count on in change. And quite frankly, oftentimes leadership counts on that. The fact that you've been with us for a long time, the fact that you've got great results in the history. So we bet on you and we move you forward and make you a change leader. And you drop the ball because you don't like the change. So I think that there is somewhere in the middle of these two columns that works. I think you have to bring to play your ability and your skills. Those of you that can adapt, and many of you are on the call, are on properties. We have just transitioned into the Alpha Barnes family, and I'm thrilled that you guys are here. You are in the midst of adaptability and persistence. And if you can't laugh about some of the things, I know in the corporate office, we've taken on a couple portfolios that are requiring some new and special reporting that folks are putting together packages so that we can, meet the owner's needs. And if it's almost comical what we're having to do. And if you can't laugh about it, if you can't reach out to others and say, I need help, those are the things that are going to get you through change. Those are the things that are going to get you through change. So the bottom line here is, we've seen companies come and go in our industry. Monogram Residential is no more. It was absorbed into Greystar. Riverstone is no more. It's absorbed into Greystar. Concord, no more. Trammell Crow, no more. You don't have to be a giant player. I'm just putting those names out there because what's happening in our industry is that, if you had a great past, if you're not keeping up, it's not going to help. And think about what's happened in our vendors. Think of the vendor consolidation. RealPage is on a mission to own the world. They keep buying businesses and growing their footprint. And if you were one of those companies that get bought, you have to step away from, hey, we used to be a cool organization, to being bought by a new organization. And that's tough. That is not easy. So I think that you need to appreciate the fact that it happens everywhere. And what you're feeling is real. So, look at property insurance. Look at what Hurricane Harvey has done to property insurance and development companies and city councils that don't let everybody know that you're building in a floodplain. There's apps for everything now. There are social media influences that we didn't have at all just 3 years ago. Guys, that's how fast this is coming. Our industry particularly. I was just reading an article from Units Magazine, and you should be getting Units Magazine at your properties because Alpha Barnes is a NAA member, and each of your properties is a local apartment association member. And when you're a local member, that means you're a member of the state group, and it also means you're a member of the national body. But anyway, there was a quick story on the 7 challenges that leaders are seeing for their companies in 2018. Excuse me. And one of them, of course, is about technology. The number one challenge, can you guess what the number one challenge is facing residential property management companies in 2018? I'm going to give you a minute. If you feel like it, chat in. The number one challenge facing all kinds of companies in 2018 in the residential property management field. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I won't identify you. Go ahead and chat in. All right, I got somebody who's saying service animals, occupancy. Anybody else? Think like an owner. Think like a property management leader. What's your number one challenge? Resident turnover, flexibility, social media, fair housing, smoke-free units. There you go. I got a ding, ding, ding. I got a winner. Staffing issues. It is all about people. How many of you are looking for people right now? I'm about to summarize the turnover numbers for Alpha Barnes for all of 2017. That's on my list to do, probably get it done this weekend. But we're looking at about a 40% turnover rate at Alpha Barnes. And that doesn't count properties that have left. It doesn't count transitioning properties. That's not good. And there's not a lot of people out there looking to come to work in the affordable property management business. So we've got to get clear on what we need. We see way too much turnover for Alpha Barnes in the first 90 days. So the leaders in this article, and please, if you get units, it's in this month's units. I just got it out of my mailbox at the office this week. It's on the 7 top concerns for executives in the business. So it's people management, people retention, people development, because if I'm not taking care of you, you're going to go someplace else. I love this quote. Alexander Graham Bell, who knew he was so brilliant? There was another quote that I heard some time ago, something about you can't lean into opening the next door when you're, to looking at the next opportunity when you're looking behind yourself at where you've been. So I think that's so true in our industry. So, the fact of the matter is that a lot of us have been doing this for a long time, and we're probably more stale and more unlikely, unwelcoming to change. We've almost become frozen in time. And I can tell you right now that success, if you're a successful manager, a successful executive, then guess what? That success can absolutely squash innovation and trying something new because you're good at it. So I think that if you are a successful residential property manager and are feel that and are being told that and have been promoted, then it kind of behooves you to be the one to get out there and look for efficiencies, productivity, cost savings, people development, and then push that out to your leadership. And leadership, frankly, needs to listen. So yeah, it is so hard. So, and it's hard if you're in the midst of the change and you have to lead the troops. For those of you on the call that are in just recently transitioned properties, you are in the middle of this right now. There may be some things that you're encountering with Alpha Barnes that you don't really care for, that are way different than what you had before. Totally get that. And yet, you can't walk around as the manager with your head down going, oh, I don't know how this is ever going to work. They don't even know what they're doing. And frankly, Alpha Barnes is in the midst of its own change without even growing its portfolio. We have not done a good job over the years of standardizing, of setting established protocol, of supporting our sites in a fashion that's equal across the board. And so as we grew, when we were small, that wasn't as big a deal. We could shoot from the hip and be successful because we have strong leaders at Alpha Barnes. But as we get bigger and bigger and bigger, we're now at 700 employees. You can't just make it up as you go along with 700 employees. You just can't. It's not fair to the employees. So that's why I sent you the checklist for how to help your employees adapt to change. So I'm going to hop off of here. We're going to open that up again just a little bit and ask you if you've got any things that you see are particularly resonate with you right now. I'm not going to be able to get, let's see, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. There. Now I can get all of it on. All right, so you can see all 13. Now 13's a lot. are in the midst of going through change at your property, and you're having to be the message of change. You're having to be the great unifier. I've got my chat box open so I can read. You know, a lot of people feel that if they just roll over and accept the change that they're giving up. I will tell you that that is not the case. Anybody want to weigh in on that? Number 11, allowing people who just are not going to be able to make the change. And you and I, those of you that we've all been in the business, yeah, 11, somebody just weighed in and said 11, is some people aren't going to make it. Some people are not going to make that change. That doesn't make them a bad person. You know, allowing them to exit gracefully. Thank you for trying. This isn't, you know, apparently a fit. All right, so I don't exactly understand this one. Was a coordinator change for me. So what of the 13 here was a big change for you? Number 12. Oh boy, isn't that true? You are absolutely right. Getting employees to take personal responsibility. Number 6, communication. And you know what? When you're not getting it, would you please raise your hand and reach out to your supervisor or one of the principals or, you know, HR, the area where you're concerned, and ask for that communication, because we don't do a great job of that. And I couldn't agree with you more. So 6 is a good one. So thank you for weighing in on some of those and how they are affecting you. Remember that not all of them are going to come into play at the same time. Apply them when you need to. Yeah, these are the questions. You know, when I was on those merger teams, people want to know, you know, it's a new management company. Am I going to lose my job? Why did we change management companies? What was wrong with what we were doing before? What can I count on? What's gonna remain constant? What happens to my benefits? You know, those of you that have been in with Alpha Barnes for a long time, you used to be well known across the company. Now we have so many new supervisors, and you think of accountants, think of compliance officers. There are so many new people to our organization that they don't know you. They don't know your track record. They don't know what you've been with the organization for a long period of time. So you have to continually make new friends, communicate again and again, because the people that you used to communicate with maybe aren't there. Or, you know, we've grown so much that now you're reporting in a different portfolio. So everybody, when they go through change, and you on the call, many of you are going through this change yourself. You have your own personal needs as well as the needs of your staff. You know, what am I going to gain or lose personally? Will anybody see me anymore? And for those of you, again, long time with Alpha Barnes, used to be a little company, you know, will anybody see me anymore now that we're, you know, 80 properties and almost 25,000 units? Will anybody see me anymore? So it behooves us in leadership roles to be sure that we do see you, and even more so right now as we're in a huge growth spurt. So I think some of these 4 bullets are really helpful for you as managers. You have to remind your staff that everybody comes to work with a certain amount of experience and training and capabilities, and those kind of things count. What we used to be, what we've done in the past, actually got us to where we are today. But that doesn't mean that the same shoe fits. So as long as we're looking out for the good of the company, you're going to hear more about our 6 core values. That is something that's brand new for Alpha Barnes. We never had those before. If we want to really be those core values, then we got to be sure that we get them out there. And then pick up the pieces and support each other. So yeah, we talked about voluntary versus involuntary. When you quit and go to a new position, that's a voluntary change. When you decide to accept the diamond ring to get married, that's a voluntary change. But if your management company changes, your property sells, your portfolio, we're doing some supervisory portfolio realignments. I know Mike is looking at portfolios right now just to see the number of properties, the number of units, how loaded supervisors are. So, nothing else could change, but you have a different supervisor. And that's like a different universe. And it certainly is involuntary. It's not something that you chose. And that's the challenge for you. Just remember that when you are in the middle of change, you are doing the hard work. It is hard to do that. Hard work used to be manual work. It is now emotional and thinking work. Long work used to be measured by staying on the clock, taking work home. That's not the way to work smart. Working hard today means you have to make emotional decisions. Look at these 4. Invent a new system or abandon something that's been working fine and look at something else. Now, I don't know how many of you could have the bullet number 3 conversation with your boss, but I think that based on the relationship that you've got with your supervisor, for me as a former property supervisor, I would like a manager to come to me and say, I don't think you're looking at it fairly. I don't think you're looking at all sides. Let me explain what I see. I mean, you don't say it in a way that offends your property supervisor, but I was a successful property supervisor, but I can't tell you how flexible I was. So if this would make it better, and quite frankly, make it for the supervisor. This will make things better for you as a supervisor. And the last bullet, I think, is also important and probably more of a challenge to tell one of our principals that what you've been doing for a long time needs to change. So understand that this change is happening at your properties. It's happening in the regions. It's happening in the company, in the halls of 12720 Hillcrest. Happening everywhere. So just understand that the riskier that hard work seems, the safer it really is. So jump in. These mistakes, I am not going to read all of them to you. Again, you've got a handout with each of those mistakes. We're already at 9:30. So I'm just going to scan past them. Stress is your own. Whether you think somebody else is causing it or not, you're wrong. You're causing it. How you take care of it. A big mistake is to decide not to change. If you want to decide not to change, that's cool, but you may not be able to move forward. Acting like a victim. So I'm going through these mistakes pretty quickly. There's some great explanations on the handout I sent to you. Remember that many of your staff members are feeling like this. How many of you have staff members that are acting like victims? Yeah, well, that's not helpful, is it? That's not gonna get things done any better or faster or more efficiently. Yeah, new game, old rules. Now, I'm not talking about old rules of morality and ethics and conduct and proprietary information. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about different rules for the day. Yeah, shooting for a low stress work setting. It's probably not going to happen, right? Boy, this is the one that gets me. I often make the mistake of trying to control the uncontrollable. I'm getting better at it, but I still have to learn how to just say, you know what? I can't change that. I need to step away. And that's hard. If you are a manager, if you take pride in efficiency and juggling a lot of balls, that's hard to do. You can't choose your own pace because a lot of what we're dealing with isn't isn't that. There's my Monday morning report. It became expendable. And I could mope about it and feel bad about it and instead go, okay, I gotta find something else. You can't slow down, but I will also tell you to manage the intake of change as quickly as you can. Not all of us can take it very fast, but understand that you've got certain parameters that you personally can swallow down change, but don't slow down. If you are a successful professional, being afraid of the future will make you unwilling to try new things, and that can be deadly. Here's another one. Oh my goodness. Picking the wrong battles, fighting against something that is either out of your control or you're never going to win. Many of you seasoned managers know that it's important to lose a battle but continue to win the war. And I hate to use a war analogy because it's not, we're not being confrontational, but just remember that there are little areas of concern that are little areas of concern, and we need to step away and take a deep breath and accept the change. It's not important for you to lose sleep or lose respect over it. Yeah, this is where you kind of shrug your shoulders and check out. Please, please don't check out. Your residents don't need you to check out. Your staff doesn't need you to check out. Hang in. If you need to call a fellow manager or you need to call your supervisor and say, I am struggling, this is overwhelming me. Reach out to somebody so you don't just have to step away and end up being ineffective for any of the other people that need you. Do not check out. Now is the time to step up and accept new assignments, to accept new roles. If somebody asks you to take on a special project or you've got experience with one of the changes that we're making, I'd love to have you be a mentor or somebody that I can refer somebody who's struggling to and say, well, Billy Bob knows how to do that. Let me connect you with Billy Bob. I can tell you that we're never going to eliminate uncertainty. Hopefully we won't have too much instability. And then just remember that as much as Alpha Barnes wants to keep you comfortable, we can't guarantee that. We care about you, but we can't guarantee that this isn't going to be, some of the things that we're going to go through are going to be uncomfortable. Let's look at some of those things. Oh, I'm sorry. Have a little screen here about your flexibility. Any comments on that flexibility assessment? I know we're at 9:36, so in 4 minutes we'll be done. Any comments about that flexibility assessment? Now, obviously, I didn't make that up. That comes from a psychologist, but as I said, I'm not as flexible apparently as I think I am. So in that sense, it was good for me to take it. Thank you, Carol. Wow, 132. I appreciate you being honest there. Yeah. I found it enlightening. There are some areas that I need to work on. I'm compulsive about some stuff, and I need to give it up. A, I'm not fun to be around when I'm compulsive, and B, it's not helpful. It's just not helpful. Especially in the midst of change, we need each other to be helpful. So I'm working on that. So these are some changes for Alpha Barnes. Some we've already put in motion. Others, they will be coming. Yeah, it does give you good things to think about for going forward. Yeah, I mean, you could be your own worst enemy when it comes to flexibility. Yeah, I have to slow down too. But you can't slow down too much. If you need to slow down to absorb, that's one thing. Then carve out some time for absorbing. But you need to keep clicking those fingers, snapping those fingers. Website enhancement, watch for that. A learning management system. A learning management system is a remote platform where all of your names are going to be loaded from payroll. Nobody has to touch that. It's automated. Every payroll system it updates. And what we will do is we will pick a learning management system that has some standard training that comes with it. And basically, based on your position, subscribe you basically a curriculum to go through, and then make available additional, career development curriculum. Document management. The partners would really like to get into offices that are paperless. And many of our, I know Hugh brings that experience. Some of our regionals that have joined the organization bring that experience. Other affordable operators are doing it. So we've got to get past this paper thing, and figure out how to do document management so that not only paperless, but where you can go in and have a template of letters, and it sets up reminders for you when it's a whole management thing, and just turn it over to a system. An online operating manual. An online operating manual. We don't know exactly what that'll look like. There are vendors who we can buy a basic manual from and then tweak it, but it's pretty pricey. But we want to get that done too. And more property maintenance training. We're looking at Bob. There's a guy at Wilmar Supply that will do AC training for us. So we're looking to expand that. So lots of new things happening there. I can just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that they're not really going to all go well. I mean, we'll definitely screw some of these up, and we'll pick the wrong partner, and we'll struggle. But hang with us, trust your own capabilities, and reach out and communicate, so that you're not beside yourself and down on yourself in a vacuum. Now is the time that we need to communicate. So I'm glad that we were able to talk about this. I hope that you had a chance to take some of the assessments, and can work with us as Alpha Barnes becomes the new Alpha Barnes. Not that the old Alpha Barnes was bad, but the new Alpha Barnes, because we need to change. All right, thank you. It's 9:40. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I turned on the recorder a little bit late, so I will save the recording. It just won't start out the same. Please feel free to use those tools with the rest of your staff, and I'll make it available to rest of you. Just email me if you need it. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.